know is, if Jonathan done got up on that Jason Lee talking shit about me, I'ma go on over there and talk shit about him.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
So he better have some good things to say about his mama this time. Okay? That's all I know. Because I still got some drawers somewhere as a souvenir. Okay? You better not have went up there, honey child, after he done got up in that jail talking about, mama, I'm sorry, mama, please, I'm sorry, mama, please. Can you tell the Lord I'm sorry? Can you tell the Lord, though, give me a break? Better not have went up over there playing with me. Girl, and I be over here minding my own business too. Trying to act my age. It ain't working though. Shit. Girl, yeah, I'm trying to get some of this fat up off me. In case I have to go up over there on that Jason Lee show and act a mother fool. Cause girl, you know I will. I'll go on that motherfucker and talk about his mama, his daddy, and his bald-headed granny. He better be glad Stanley, or what's his name? Shannon Sharp ain't called my. Cause I'd have went up on that motherfucker too. Now don't be getting on here talking about me to these motherfucking people that don't like me. Okay? Cause y'all already know I would get on that motherfucker, talk about you, your mama, your daddy, your bald-headed granny, your kids. Don't do it. Your stepmammy. I like that motherfucker Jason Lee up. Y'all be thinking Tokyo crazy. Let that motherfucker after he done already. Shit. Tokyo will look like a goddamn saint if I get on that motherfucker again. You done got up on here after you done. Mama, please tell Jesus I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to doing my steps just in case he ain't said shit. Cause you know how they be bleeping shit out and chopping shit up to make a look crazy. You don't gotta try to make me look crazy. I am crazy, goddammit. Shit. You'll be crazy too if you raise 3 cockeyed kids.
The tension was already building long before the cameras even started rolling. But the moment everyone felt it shift was when Karlissa Saffold stepped in with that unmistakable energy, sharp, direct, and not here to play nice. What was supposed to be just another interview setup suddenly turned into something much deeper, something personal. You could feel it in the air. Blueface wasn't just preparing for a conversation with Jason Lee anymore, he was being confronted in real time by his own mother about everything that's been brewing behind the scenes. Her tone wasn't loud just for the sake of noise. It carried weight, years of frustration, and a message she clearly felt couldn't wait any longer. Every word she delivered seemed calculated, like she knew exactly what needed to be said before he stepped into that interview chair. And Blueface, his reaction wasn't what people expected. There was a pause, a hesitation, like he was caught between defending himself and actually hearing her out. That moment right there changed everything. Because now, it wasn't just about what he might say in the interview, it was about what had already been said before it even began, and just when it seemed like that moment might pass. Like it would fade into the background as just another heated exchange. It actually deepened in a way nobody in the room could ignore. The energy didn't drop, it intensified. Karlissa didn't step back after saying her piece. Instead, she leaned further into it, making it clear this wasn't just about one interview or one headline. This was about a pattern, a cycle she believed needed to be broken before it played out once again before the world. Her presence alone shifted the dynamic, turning what should have been a controlled media moment into something raw and unpredictable. You could almost see the layers peeling back in real time. Blueface, usually so composed in chaotic situations, started to show cracks, not dramatic ones, but subtle shifts in posture, in expression, in the way he chose his silence over quick responses. That silence spoke louder than anything he could have said. The room itself felt smaller, as if the walls were closing in on the situation, and every second stretched longer than expected. People who were there for production purposes suddenly found themselves witnessing something far more personal than they signed up for. And Karlissa, unwavering, continued to press not recklessly, but with intention. She wasn't trying to embarrass him. She was trying to reach him before the narrative outside twisted things even further. Because once that interview started, once the lights officially went on and the questions began, there would be no controlling how things were interpreted. And she knew that. That urgency is what gave her words their edge. What made it even more intense was the contrast between public image and private reality. Up until that point, everything surrounding Blueface had been filtered through social media clips, reactions, and fragmented opinions. But this moment? It wasn't filtered. It wasn't edited. It was immediate, and it was real. You could sense that Karlissa wasn't speaking to the audience watching from afar. She was speaking directly to her son, trying to cut through all the noise that had been surrounding him. And for a brief moment, it seemed like it was working. Blueface's usual confidence didn't disappear, but it softened. There was a shift from performance to presence. Instead of reacting for the sake of control, he appeared to be processing, weighing each word, each implication. That kind of pause is rare in situations like this, especially when emotions are high and cameras are nearby. But it happened. And in that pause, everything felt uncertain. Would he push back? Would he dismiss it? Or would he actually take it in? Meanwhile, the anticipation of the Jason Lee interview loomed even larger. What was supposed to be the main event was now overshadowed by what had already unfolded. Because now, the stakes were different. It wasn't just about answering questions, it was about whether those answers would reflect what had just been confronted behind the scenes. And that added pressure created a tension that couldn't be ignored. Everyone knew that whatever happened next would carry the weight of this moment. Karlissa's final words in that exchange didn't come off as a conclusion. They felt more like a warning mixed with concern. Not aggressive, not dismissive, but firm in a way that lingered. She made it clear that this wasn't just about public perception. It was about direction, choices, and consequences that extend far beyond one viral moment. And that's what made everything hit harder. Because underneath the confrontation was something deeper, a mother trying to pull her son back into alignment before things spiraled further, and as the room slowly began to reset. As people attempted to transition back into interview mode, it was obvious that nothing was the same anymore. The atmosphere had changed. The focus had shifted. Even the smallest movements felt loaded with meaning. Blueface stepping toward that interview chair wasn't just a routine action anymore, it felt symbolic. Like he was stepping into a space where every word would now be measured against what had just happened. The cameras, the lights, the setup, they all came back into focus. But the energy stayed different. There was a quiet tension, a sense that something unresolved was still hanging in the air. And maybe that's what made the moment so powerful. It didn't end with a clear resolution. It didn't wrap itself up neatly. Instead, it left questions, real ones that couldn't be ignored. Would he carry her words into the interview? Would the conversation reflect that internal shift everyone just witnessed? Or would it all be brushed aside once the spotlight officially turned on? Because at the end of the day, that's what made this moment stand out. It wasn't just drama for the sake of attention. It was a collision between reality and perception, between private truth and public narrative. And once those two collide, there's no easy way to separate them again. So as everything moved forward, as the interview prepared to begin and the outside world waited to see what would unfold, one thing was clear: what happened before the interview might end up being more important than anything said during it. And just when it felt like everything had reached its peak, the final moments carried a different kind of weight, quieter, heavier, and far more telling than any loud exchange. The room settled, but not in a way that brought comfort. It was the kind of silence that lingers after something real has been said, the kind you can't just brush off or move past. Blueface finally stepped fully into position for the interview, but the shift in him was noticeable. It wasn't dramatic or exaggerated, it was subtle, almost internal, but it was there. The confidence he usually wore so effortlessly now felt measured, like every move had a second thought attached to it. Karlissa, on the other hand, didn't need to say anything more. She had already made her point, and the absence of her voice in that moment somehow spoke even louder than before. She stepped back, not in defeat, but with a sense of completion, as if she knew the message had landed exactly where it needed to, whether it would be acknowledged publicly or not. And that's what made this ending feel so different. There was no clear resolution, no apology, no dramatic reconciliation. Just a pause in the chaos, filled with unspoken understanding and unresolved tension. As the cameras officially began rolling and the interview with Jason Lee got underway, there was an underlying question that followed every word spoken. Was this the same version of him from moments ago, or had something actually shifted? To the outside world, it might have looked like just another conversation, another viral clip waiting to happen. But for those who witnessed what came before, it felt layered, like every answer carried a hidden context that most people wouldn't even realize existed. And that's where the real impact of the moment lived, not in what was said on camera, but in what almost wasn't said at all. Because sometimes the most powerful confrontations aren't the ones that explode, they're the ones that settle deep, that force reflection instead of reaction. Whether Blueface chooses to act on it or not, that moment with his mother became something permanent. Something that can't be edited out or rephrased for the internet. By the time everything wrapped up, the energy had shifted once again, but this time it wasn't chaotic, it was uncertain. Not in a negative way, but in a way that left space for possibility. Because moments like that don't always show immediate results. Sometimes they sit, they build, they wait for the right time to truly take effect, and as everyone went their separate ways. One thing remained clear: this wasn't just another headline or fleeting viral moment. It was a turning point, quiet but powerful, and whether it leads to change or not is something only time will reveal.